So today we're going to be going over 12 masterpiece fragrances that I will always reach for. No matter how much my collection continues to change and evolve over the years, I can guarantee that these are still going to be ending up on my skin all the time. A lot of these here I've had for a good amount of time, so I've really built a relationship with each one of these fragrances. I've made a lot of memories with them. I've just really grown to like them. But there are a couple in here that are a bit newer to my collection that I've really hit it off with. So as always, we have a mix of designer and niche, although mostly designer, and we have a mix of fresh and sweet. So no matter what you're into, you're going to find something in here that you're really going to like. And I will link them all down below as well to discounters, so that way you can pick these up at a price below retail. Got a lot to cover, 12 fragrances total. We will run through it quick though. Let's get some. First up, Gentleman Eau de Parfum by Givenchy. So this one has iris, vanilla, black pepper. It's a sweet, smooth, creamy fragrance that does share similarities to Dior Homme Intense. The main difference is the Givenchy here is more affordable, about half the price. Also with this one, it's going to be more approachable for a lot of people out there, whether it be the wearer, so you picking this up to wear it for yourself, or people around you. This one has more of a mass appeal to it. The Dior is more lipsticky, is a different take on iris, more iris pronounced, and that one's not going to be for everybody. But this one here does have something about it that gives it more of a designer feel. It makes it easier to pull off. Now, I'm not saying that the Dior isn't a good compliment getter or is one that's super hard to pull off, because I really don't think it's too crazy, but for someone just getting into fragrances, this is going to be the way to go to play it safe. And so you may be wondering, well, why didn't I include the Dior? Because I'm a big fan of that one. Well, I could have, and that's one I will reach for, but the point behind this is I also really like the Givenchy. And there are times where maybe I'm not in the mood for Dior Homme Intense. Maybe I want something that is going to be more safe, more wearable, easier to pull off. And that's when I include this one. You know, this has more of a vanilla focus. It's a little bit more sweet and creamy and less iris focused. I really find this one to be quite cozy for the cool weather. Next up, we have L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum by Guerlain. So this is one of those fragrances that tends to go out of stock often, and then you're left wondering what's going on. It is in stock again on discounters, and again, that will be linked down below, so you can pick this one up for, I believe, right around $74. So a bit under retail, but not a whole bunch. Now, what's weird about this one also is that it was out of stock everywhere, and also unavailable on Guerlain's official website here in the United States. So it was really hard to get there for a while, but it is back. So if you've been wanting to get your hands on this one, now's the time to do it. This one has cherry, almond, vanilla. It's such a different and unique take on a men's fragrance. You know, it has that almond note, which is quite different, and essentially it gives it this kind of refined, you know, masculine, classy smell. That's what this one is all about. It's not like a youthful, playful, or casual smelling fragrance by any means. This one's a bit more dressed up. So if you're someone who is tired of the kind of monotonous, bubblegummy sweet fragrances that are being put out for men, I highly recommend you to get your nose on this one. You will definitely understand the hype behind it. So up next we have Mancera Cedrat Boise. So this is a fragrance that has been around in my collection for a long time, as you can tell by the level there. I have decanted some of this out to share with friends and, you know, whatever, and also I was selling decants of it for a while. But I've also worn a lot of this fragrance, a good amount. So much so that not too long ago, I actually bought another bottle, a full bottle, so I have two. There's still plenty here, don't get me wrong, but I just felt like buying another bottle. I honestly don't really know why I did it. I think I smelled it, and then I was so blown away by it again. I'm like, oh, I want another bottle. That's kind of what happens sometimes. You know, maybe you go a while without smelling a fragrance that you once thoroughly enjoyed, and you revisit it again, and it's almost like you're discovering it for the first time, and you're just so blown away. I think that's what happened, but who knows. Point is, I'm set up with this fragrance. I've got enough. These are 120 ml bottles, and you can get these on discounters for a really, really good price. Lower $100 range. I believe FragranceNet around $120. $120 for a niche fragrance in a 120 ml bottle is unheard of. One of the most affordable niche brands out there, and this is your ticket, your gateway into niche fragrances. This was my first niche fragrance. Anyone who's been around on the channel would know that. first niche fragrance for me, and it's a great first niche fragrance for you as well. It has fruity notes, it has woods, it has some citrus sweetness in here as well. It's so good. Now, the reason why this one popped off and got so popular was because it was compared to Aventus. I really don't think they're that similar at all. Quite different, actually. So don't let that influence you one way or another. Take Aventus out of the equation. It's fruity, it's sweet, you get this nice black currant note. So there are notes shared between the two, but still 100% different. This is one of those fragrances that I could smell all the time. It's got beast mode performance. This has always been one that's a consistent 10, 11 plus hour fragrance on my skin. It cuts through the cold air. Even though this wouldn't normally be my first choice in the wintertime, back when I first got this one, I wore it in the wintertime all the time, just because, you know, it is so strong and I loved it so much. Still do. I'm gonna smell this and enjoy this for the rest of the video because this here to me, it's special. Next up, we have kind of a summer leaning fragrance for me. One that is technically newer to my collection, but you'll understand what I'm saying in a minute, why it's a little bit hard to explain. This one is Hawas by Rasasi. So this here, Rasasi, this one is newer to my collection. I got it around this summer. However, Invictus Aqua 2016, which is actually a clone of this fragrance, is not new to my collection. I got that one when it came out, and that was a fragrance that I completely burnt through. I wore so much Invictus Aqua, and of course all the discontinuation stuff happened and all of that stuff. But the point is, I've been very familiar with the DNA for a long time. I made so many great memories with Invictus Aqua, and so now that the 2016 version is so overpriced and I'm not the biggest fan of the 2018, I find myself really falling back on this one here. This is where it all started, and this DNA is monstrous, mind-blowing, incredible stuff. This is one of the best playful summer fragrances on the market. This one has plum, lavender, citrus, and ambergris. It's a fruity, citrusy, fresh, kind of clean, clean linen smell summer fragrance with a nice playful, youthful, fun, summery undertone. This stuff is so great. I love it. I really do. It's one of those fragrances that's kind of a guilty pleasure because when it comes to the true, really hardcore, passionate fragrance snobs, they would smell this and think it's sacrilege. But for me, I'm a big fan. I've got a lot of fragrances, a lot of summer fragrances especially. There's a lot of other things I could choose from, but there's something special about this DNA for me that makes it a masterpiece. It makes it one that I cannot wait to wear every time it gets warm. And we even had a couple warm days here, even though it's December. It was one day got up to the mid 60s, which was crazy in December, and it was sunny out. My mind was instantly like, ooh, Rasasi Hawas. But I didn't do it. I almost did, but I'm gonna save this one for summertime so I can really enjoy it. When I spend some time away from it, the love starts to grow more. So as soon as it gets warm out next year, this one's coming out. Next up, we have Chanel Allure Homme Sport Extreme. Tonka Bean Orange and Mint are a few of the key components in here. I need to start moving a little bit quicker here. This is no stranger. It's a fragrance that also had its time to shine. It was the star of the show for a good while there, getting hyped up for great reason. This smells awesome. It's a powdery but minty, kind of refreshing men's fragrance. This is one of those ones where it combines fresh and sweet a little bit. And fragrances like that ultimately have a lot of versatility and a lot of mass appeal as well. For me, this is one that always makes me feel just well put together when I spray it on, A lot of fragrances can do that, but there's something about this one where it has this kind of modern men's smell, this masculine smell. It has a touch of a playfulness as well, but it also kind of has this down to business smell. Just a nice little hybrid here. It's one that I always enjoy and that I will always reach for. Next up from Dior, we have Higher Energy. So this is one that gets overshadowed just a little. It's definitely not Sauvage or Dior Homme Intense or the Dior Homme line when it comes to popularity. This one is slept on a bit. This one has juniper berries, pineapple, and grapefruit. It's kind of a citrus aromatic. This one goes a little bit more in the mature direction. So while you have Sauvage on one hand being super youthful, playful, and young smelling, this one is more your mid-late 30s and above age range for this one. Now, of course, you can be any age and wear this, but when you smell this one, it does have more of a mature, refined, kind of, polished smell to it that you would expect someone a bit more mature to pull off. For me, I think it's very interesting, very unique. I like the combination of notes in here. It's a gentleman's fragrance for sure. One that I think is really great and underrated. Next up, we have Prada Luna Rossa, the Eau de Toilette. So this is what started this amazing line of fragrances, anything from black to carbon to Prada Luna Rossa Sport. They have a lot of really, really good ones here in the line. And the original still is great, even though it is overshadowed by a lot of those other flankers. This one has lavender, mint, and orange. So it's a powdery but also soapy clean, masculine, modern men's fragrance. Prada does it best when creating fragrances in this category of soapy clean scents, one that has kind of a refined, upscale, expensive smell to it. That's what this one's all about, and it's not too expensive. It's not too dated or old school smelling at all, actually. It's quite modern for me. It's one that can be enjoyed by so many different guys from all different ages, and because it is more affordable, it's a lot easier to get your hands on without spending a whole bunch of money. It's really quite pleasant, It's one that you can have as a dumb reach. Just have it sitting there on your shelf ready to go. If there's a day where you're running a bit late, trying to get out the door to go to work, you didn't think ahead of time what you wanted to wear, you're scrambling, okay, I need to pick something. This is the type of fragrance that is perfect for that because it can work for anything. Formal, casual, winter, spring, it doesn't matter. You can pull this one off, and I think that's very valuable. This next one, we have Armani Code Absolu Gold version. Look at that sweet bottle. Tonka bean, iris, saffron, and benzoin are some of the notes here. A little bit of a different note breakdown. Obviously, the benzoin giving off a vanilla smell like Armani Code Absolu. But the iris, the saffron, that's new. And so essentially what this does is it's a little bit more of a like iris floral creamy take on Armani Code Absolu. So still very sweet, still one that's great for the fall and winter time, cooler weather. One that has maybe a touch of a playful vibe about it, but also still something that is a bit more refined compared to Profumo. That sort of thing, but just a bit more creamy. The iris, the saffron, kind of takes it in a little bit of a different direction. This is one where if Armani Code Absolu, just the original, is maybe still a bit mainstream for you given the amount of sweetness, you could go for this one and it's at least a little bit of a different take. For me, I think it's great. I really like this one. There's times where I'll reach for this one over the original Absolu. There's times where I'll layer them both together. It really just depends on what I'm after. If I want to stand out a bit more, I go for gold. If I want to just play it super safe and easy and just, grab one and go, I go for the original. But really though, I'm happy to have both of them. I see different situations for each scent. So next up, we have an obvious one, a niche fragrance that, I don't feature much anymore just because people are tired of it. But, sometimes maybe it's unfair for me to disclude this one from every video, especially one like this where it is a personal video. I'm talking about fragrances that I think are masterpieces that I will always reach for, and so this is one that I think that, and instead of not including it like I do every other time, I'll just toss it in here real quick. That is, of course, Creed Aventus, quote-unquote the king of men's fragrances. Do I think it's a little bit ridiculous to call it the king of men's fragrances? Yeah, I do, and maybe I've referred to it in the past as like a shortcut, but really I don't think it's the king of men's fragrances. That's so subjective. But it's definitely a big staple in my collection. It's one that I have a true passion for. A lot of times it gets tossed around and brought up because it's popular and it's hyped up and people like to talk about it. For me, it's one that I like and I enjoy, and I have like 4, 5, 6 bottles of because I truly love it. It's one that makes me very happy. The note breakdown, everything about this one. I won't go there, but the point is, for me, it's a masterpiece. It's one that is an absolute gem in my collection. It's one that I will always reach for, no questions asked. Next up, a good old classic fragrance here, Spicebomb Eau de Toilette. Yeah, just the original. Tobacco, cinnamon, and leather are some of the key players in here. It's Spicebomb, okay? Spicebomb. Come on. So that may seem boring. Obviously, Spicebomb Extreme is one that I will always reach for as well. But I also feel like in this situation, the Eau de Toilette gets overshadowed from all the other flankers that are out these days. I still think the EDT is a great scent. It's another one that just brings a smile to my face when I smell it. You know, it's one that is also playful, juvenile, incredibly strong, one that will make the niche snobs cringe and crawl into their hole. But for me, it is fun. This is a fun fragrance. You know, when I smell that, it immediately takes me to October. You know, kind of the peak of fall when it's still relatively mild outside. Takes me to the Halloween, horror movies, haunted houses, mood, and everything about October. You know, it's a whole mood, right? And so when choosing a fragrance for that time, Spicebomb is always one that I gravitate towards. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just me, but that's what I like. You know, if you were to go to a haunted house or go watch a horror movie in a movie theater or go trick-or-treating or go to a Halloween party or whatever, this is the type of fragrance that you would want to wear. But of course, you could wear it in wintertime as well. The tobacco, cinnamon, leather, pink pepper really stands out and it punches through the cold air. This right here, this one makes me happy. Second to last fragrance, we have Pure Excess Night by Paco Rabanne. Oh boy, let's not start that game again, right? This is another type of bottle where it's heavier than you would suspect. It's, you know, it's a chunky bottle. The cap also has some heft to it. Of course, it's a very nice thick glass. Paco Rabanne definitely did not skimp out on the presentation here. So this is also one where if you're not careful, this will get away from you. Again, luckily, I've got carpet in here. I chose to not pull the carpet out of this room, and I'm glad I did. Caramel, ginseng, and myrrh are some of the key components here. Opens up very spicy, but then it dries down to a very smooth, creamy, caramely, sexy fragrance. You know, the opening is what's going to really throw some people off. A lot of guys out there I know will smell the opening and scrub it off because I almost did the first time I tried this one on. I'm like, that is so spicy and stringent. Not so much in the air, but when you spray it on your skin and smell that opening, it pops off and it will almost make you sneeze the first couple times. It's like crazy spicy. There's ginseng, there's ginger, I think there's some other spicy notes. It hits hard. But the dry down makes this one 10 times worth it. It smells so good and absolutely 100% unique from Paco Rabanne. This has to be one of their best releases in my opinion. At least when we're talking uniqueness here and all of that good stuff. From like a mass appeal standpoint, you know, the 1 millions, the Invictuses are going to be better. Invictuses, 1 million Invictus, that'll be better in terms of their best release for compliments, but from an enthusiast standpoint, Pure Excess Night's the way to go. And last up, we have John Varvatos Oud. Oud, incense, tobacco, and myrrh, and that's just a couple of the notes. Yeah, there's 4 of them there, but that's a couple. Because when you look at the note breakdown on this one, massive. There's a bunch up top, there's a bunch in the mid, there's a bunch in the base. There's a ton of notes in this seemingly relatively affordable fragrance. Now, whether or not you pick up on all those notes is definitely debatable. I know I don't. I pick up on the ones that I just told you. So it's a nice mild oud, it's smoky, it's a bit sweet, it's very woody, a bit spicy. It is just a great scent from a brand which typically will get some shade thrown at it due to the performance of basically all of their fragrances. This one also is not a beast mode scent, and it's frustrating, and I see where people are coming from. When you have a fragrance like this with that type of note breakdown, or even the original John Varvatos Dark Rebel, John Varvatos Vintage, Dark Rebel Rider, all of those ones have heavy, strong note breakdowns and they don't perform, so I understand people's frustration. But for me, I'm able to look past that and enjoy it for the scent. You know, if I know I'm going to be going somewhere where I want to be smelled and you know, have people smell my fragrance for several hours and have it really go hard, then I'm not going to reach for this. But if I'm just chilling at home, if I'm just running errands, I'll go for this because who cares if it lasts all day? I don't. Alrighty guys, there you have it. That is 12 fragrances, 12 masterpiece fragrances, 10 out of 10s that I will always reach for. No matter how my collection goes, if I start selling stuff off, if I get a bunch more fragrances, if I do who knows what, these here, always going to be staples. Again, there's a little bit of something for everyone here, designer, niche, fresh, sweet. So if you want to grab any of these for yourself and add to your collection, I will link them down below. Also, let me know down below what are some masterpiece fragrances that you will always reach for. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.